Hello everybody and welcome to Polygon Live. My name is Christopher Thomas Plante. I am joined today by Jake Kazdal from 17-Bit. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
I am incredibly excited because this is the first game that we are seeing for the week, and it's a game I am kind of in love with, even though it's not even out yet, and that's Galak-Z Dimensional. I always mess up the subtitle. But I was hoping you could tell us just a little bit about it before we hop in so people know what to expect.
This is a tough one to talk about. The appearances can be very deceiving. You know, screenshots and stuff, it looks like kind of a classic space shooter. It looks like sort of the, the 90s kind of 1632-bit 2D spaceship shooter. It was obviously heavily influenced by sort of my love of 80s anime, Star Blazers and Macross, stuff like that. There's a real particular sort of Macross/Robotech, however you like to call it. Influence pretty apparent in the missiles and the effects and stuff like that. So we put a lot of effort into the visual styling of the game. But at its core, it's actually a roguelike sort of Spelunky style game meets sort of the really kind of cutting edge AI combat of something closer to like Far Cry 3 or Halo.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a really weird mix of stuff, and we're hoping it's going to be a hit, but the response so far has been fantastic and people seem to love it. So. I'm
glad you could describe it beforehand because it sounds insane, and then you actually get to see it, and then it'll really kind of come into focus. So I guess let's just hop in. And show me what it is. Okay,
so this is pre-alpha still. There's still some sort of major systems that are missing, so I'm not going to be able to show you everything today, but we have one mission that's up and ready to go, and it'll just sort of repeat the same type of mission, but because it's procedurally generated every time, it's a different mission every time. I don't, even though I designed every single room and all this stuff, there's enough randomness that I don't know what I'm going to see, and that's one of the great things about this game. You can play it every day like I do and never get tired of it.
Is that terrifying when you're giving a demo?
No, because we've ironed out most of the large issues. There's a couple small ones still, but this is our lead character. His name's Adam Takamoto. He's known by ATAC as his sort of call sign. That's his deck commander, Beam, over there, and this is the CIC, and this is where you sort of are receiving your new missions. At this point, I can choose between one of 3 difficulty levels, so I'm going to just jump in for now on medium, and we will get going. We go down to the hangar here, and at this point, if I had saved up some cash from defeating enemies and exploring some of the caverns and stuff in space out there, I'd be able to jump over to the shop and buy some stuff, but for now, I'm going to just jump right in. So unfortunately, none of our story stuff and sort of our mission descriptions and stuff like that are in yet, but they will be. Every title is an episode. Kind of, we think of it like an anime episode. So every episode has its own sort of instigating, action that's going to drive some of the story plot, things like that. Basically, one of the big things about this game is it's fully physics-driven. So it's kind of complex physics simulation in 2D. I've got all kinds of boosters on my ship here, and I can fly through deep space as much as I like. I'm a big fan of physics-driven games, like the Skate series by EA. Huge fan of Wipeout and Wave Race, particularly Wave Race. Kind of really drew a lot of inspiration for me as a younger gamer. So you can kind of float around out here as long as you like, come to grips with the controls, stuff like that. You can see we've got full sort of freedom to kind of scoot between these asteroids, try not to get bumped. And as I jump into this cave here, you'll see the directional arrow off to the left there is kind of driving my forward progress. The arrow will always drive you kind of right to the goal, but there's a lot of stuff to get off and sort of explore off to the sides. So you never know where you're going to find some treasure or some sort of forgotten blueprints for a weapon power-up, something like that.
So is there a clear overworld map, or are you mostly led by the arrow but left to explore?
There's a full map here you can kind of see. So I'm going into this giant planet, and it sort of unveils itself as I'm going into it. So these are one of the 3 factions here. These are the Imperials. These are just some light scouts I'm going to take out real quick. Pick up their goodies they leave over. So the world is full of these kind of weird interactables, these different kinds of alien space plants, and we call them space corals. This thing will kind of spike up and kill you if you touch it. These things, if you shoot them, they'll leave these spores that'll slow down you or any enemy pursuer, so you can sort of buy yourself a moment of time, which I might need here in a second.
Now you mentioned like the environment that could spike up and kill you. Is that something that, is appealing to you from like roguelikes and Spelunky where
absolutely,
you're discovering what
discovering the world, being able to, you're really outmanned in this game, right? You're totally outgunned. So the idea that you can sort of utilize the environment to, forward your cause is really exciting stuff. And it leads to a lot of dynamic, unexplained, or unpredictable gameplay encounters. So really understanding, like here, there's this lava pits that kind of appear. I could shoot into that and kick up more lava, and this lava is really dangerous. It'll drain my shields in one hit. But it's also great if you're being chased by a bunch of guys to kind of kick in there and kick up a bunch of lava.
So you mentioned the episode title at the beginning of this, to kind of go back to that. I mean, is this basically a procedurally generated Saturday morning cartoon in that sense?
It's exactly what it is. And even the names and even the writers are all procedurally generated.
Oh, man.
Through a database.
Do you have any favorite writers that have been created?
So we basically looked at a bunch of anime writers and kind of, Saturday morning cartoon writers from the 80s and stuff, and generated all their names into a database. And it sort of randomly picks from them. So as you start to hear this, you can kind of hear that dub music going on.
Yeah.
That is the shop here. I can jump in. This guy's name is Crash. He's out here sort of scavenging, doing his own thing, and you can buy power-ups and stuff from him. So I can buy my different weapons. Different kind of hull upgrades and stuff like that. I don't have enough cash to do this anything yet, but when I see him again, I'll be able to, whoa, okay.
The artwork just looks so familiar. Which cartoons, or I guess animes in particular, were you kind of drawing from?
It's mostly Star Blazers and Macross.
Macross.
Robotech, and then Star Blazers was called Yamato in Japan. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that kind of classic early 80s, late 70s sort of space drama stuff that we really looked heavily to for visual inspiration. So there's different factions in here, and you'll see like these giant space insects also are attacking the Imperials, so no one gets along. There's also a third faction of pirates. And so one of the big strategies in this game is to allow them to kind of soften themselves up before you jump into combat with them. See, these bugs just can't get enough eating these guys, and when they're distracted, their guard's down or their shields are down, it's a lot easier to take them out, and then you kind of come in and clean up, because there's a lot of enemies in the game.
So when you make the Far Cry comparison, I'm assuming that is starting some shit and then leaving and letting people kind of get into it with each other?
And the fact that each enemy squad has their own sort of patrol routes and stuff like that are hand-tailored per room. And so you never know where you're going to encounter them, and the squads differ in strength and size. We've worked a lot on sort of pacings, making sure that the encounters are varied and interesting.
Yeah.
So here, these big purple guys are sort of the bad guys of the Imperials. They're called the Hammerheads, and they're pretty tough. So I'm gonna have to start paying attention here. So you see some of these Macrossy missiles. And I'm a huge Halo fan, so the idea of the shields being a big part of your combat experience, and whittling down their shields and then making sure you're going for the attack. Oh. And I took a hit not paying attention here with my shields down, so that's it for that one. Back to the title here. So we're also kind of going for this very Sega 90s arcade thing. I worked at Sega in the late 90s in Tokyo in the early 2000s, and I've been a big fan of their stuff for a long time. So we really wanted to get that kind of arcadey, really fun, just jump in and have a lot of fun with this thing. I mean, it should be able to be played in just a very quick amount of time. And
how did you get so into Japanese culture? Because obviously, like when I think of like Saturday morning cartoons that I watched as a kid, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna say like Bobby's World, and then it's not even good for anyone because no one else watched it. But like, what got you into Macross and Robotech and all that stuff?
Well, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so I used to wake up really early in the morning and watch Star Blazers on TV when I grew up in Seattle. It was on at 6 o'clock in the morning for some reason. And so, I mean, from an early age, I was just really into that kind of stuff. And then in college, I had the opportunity to move to Japan and spend some time there. And I just fell in love with it. And I'd been in games for a long time. I worked at Nintendo in high school before that, so I've always been in love with just sort of Japanese games and Japanese games culture. And the entertainment stuff, too. My last game, Skulls of the Shogun, was really based on 60s anime. And this is kind of 70s and 80s, so whoa, there's a big space spider in these caves here. You gotta watch yourself with him. He'll take you out in one hit.
Now I have to ask you, what was it like working for Nintendo in high school?
Oh, it's awesome, man. Can you imagine? I mean, like, I'm a total idiot, and so the chance to go in there, my job was a game counselor, so like literally my job was to play all the 8-bit Nintendo games and be a game counselor, so people would call when they got stuck. And so my job was literally to sit around and play video games. It was awesome. So it's pretty much all I've ever done with my life. I worked at NX in college for a while, and then at IRM. So I've done a lot of this stuff, and I'm gonna just not make it if I don't start paying attention here.
Oh my gosh. Should I try? I mean, is it easier if I, well, I have a feeling I'm gonna get wrecked, but.
I'll give you a spin. Let me see if I can get through one of these things here. I'm just, you gotta pay attention. So you see, so there's a couple special moves here.
Okay.
This, we call it the juke. It's basically a jump. You can sort of jump out of the gameplay plane for just a second.
Yeah.
So you can jump over a volley of enemy shots, or you can jump over an enemy that's pinning you into a corner. It gets pretty important in high-level combat. we've teamed up with a new startup called Sentient. It's an AI middleware startup. So this AI is, I mean, it looks like this simple sort of arcade game, but people are used to these arcade games, guys sort of just kind of blindly attacking you. You can see these guys are actually much more like Far Cry or something. They're on patrol. Their vision cones communicate what sort of state they're in. So red means I've been sighted and they know where I'm at. They're going to come after me. If I manage to lose them, and they will chase me to the ends of the universe here. I got spiked by that thing. If I can manage to lose them, I'm going to let my shields charge back up here. Let me see if I can lose them up here. They're pretty smart, unfortunately. So orange means they know I'm around here somewhere, and they're going to split up and start, searching for me. So these guys will kind of go into a search pattern. If they can hear me too, so I got to sort of be careful here. My shields are back up though now, so I'm going to jump into combat because I like fighting. But it does lend to a lot of different strategies. You can be really non-aggressive. You can, if you're sort of outmanned or outgunned and it's towards the end of a mission and your health is really low, you can sneak around and sort of try not to engage too much, which is good. I mean, at its core, this is an action sort of arcade adventure game. So it is all about the fighting, obviously. And I think we're really proud of the combat. It feels really great. The AI is really interesting. These guys know how to fight really well. They lead their shots really well. This little guy will go for backup if I take out his master.
And was it always procedurally generated when you decided to make it?
No. It started off kind of more linear and scripted, and then we started building some sort of generation tools to help build content faster. Instead of hand authoring every bit of stuff, I could do it kind of on a grid, and it would populate it with some of the background sprites and stuff like that. And as we started cooking into this, we realized we spent months and months and months on the same level, and we weren't really driven to make a bunch of new content. And it was weird because every time you fought these encounters, they were always slightly different, and it just got to the point where we realized that this game is really all about just kind of exploring these caves and flying around and getting these really organic-driven combat encounters. And so we realized that, we could start. I mean, we were already procedurally generating some of this stuff to help me just with generation of content in general. Here we go. And we realized that this would just work out. So the idea is that you kind of want to secure this crystal at the end of the level, and then you've got to hold this position because all the enemy bullets have physics and stuff on them, so they can knock you out of here really quickly if you don't take them all out. And then holding this down will allow you to warp back out, back to the mothership. And right now we've got sort of the little mini credits in here, so you can see sort of the whole episode kind of theme we're going for here. I'll open up in just a second. So really going for that.
That's great. I love the kind of VHS-y blurred out background photo. That's nice.
So this has been a lot of fun. You can just see how goofy we've gone with all this stuff.
That's perfect.
And all these were published by these, Japanese companies. This name keeps popping up. He was the bad guy from Skulls the Shogun. We just keep using it over and over. So at this point, this will just jump me back into the CIC here. I'd like to show you some more higher level stuff too here.
Sure, that'd be great.
I'm going to jump into the advanced combat. So this, I think 30%, the difficulty ranking goes up 30% every time you beat a level. So you can start early, you can kind of jump in heavier, which I tend to do. But the idea is that you'll kind of play through 5 or 6 missions in a row to get to the final boss, who's a big, big base ship encounter out in space. Let's see how much cash I have. I think I am, oh no, okay. A little bit more short. I'll get some more cash and find him again. But yeah, the idea is that you'll play 5 or 6 of these sort of episodic, mission-based missions, or that sounds,
sure, mission-based missions.
Story-based missions that you'll kind of weave through to get to this end big encounter, and then beating the Baron, who's kind of the Imperial Overlord, or the Pirate Captain, whoever you happen to find it in that run. That'll be the end of the game.
I'm curious, mentioning Spelunky and talking about roguelikes and procedural generated content, how impactful do you think Spelunky's been on, especially it seems like indie development?
Yeah, it's
hearing
just,
it more
it's
and
huge.
more.
I think, with indie teams, you've got a very small content creation crew, generally, right? This team, there's me and one other main artist, and I'm also the lead designer. We've got a systems designer and a bunch of engineers doing different stuff, and everyone does design everywhere, But the idea of building just, hours and hours and hours of different scripted content is very daunting. And it's not really about that. This game is more about this sort of exploring and just having a good time. And when you learn that you can have these interactions, these relationships in the world between these different objects and these different enemies that relate to each other differently, like it's a very deep, complex, layered system, and it takes a while to kind of get to grips with it. And you start realizing the game is it's all about that. And you can create this recipe for this soup that's fresh every time that you play it, and it's so valuable. And I don't think it's only valuable for small teams. I mean, I think you're going to start seeing more and more of this stuff in AAA. I mean, I think we're kind of moving from purely sort of very Spelunky roguelike, pure kind of roguelike level stuff to, we're going to have a lot of story and stuff in between, and some missions that you'll probably only come across once that have some more of the stuff when you come across some of the new items and stuff like that. I got to pay attention. But it just leads to endless variety. That's one of the reasons I loved Halo so much, is because some of these big battles, doesn't matter how many times you play it, it would always be a different experience, and things can go a little south. You could kind of start off stronger or weaker and kind of have to come back, and it was always this organic, really challenging, engaging, combat experience. And I think that is what drew me to that game so much. Watch me cook this guy here.
Nice, that's cool. It also just seems like there's something so playful about it. Like, I loved when you came up on those guys and you just fired off like one shot to just kind of piss them off.
Yeah, I play every day. I mean, I don't even think too much, when I'm playing this. It is just kind of like, I really love fighting, I'm half Norwegian. I think it's the Viking part of me. So here you can see that Hammerhead was going, he sees me now. There's these pirate holdouts in these caves, pirate hideouts and fortresses and stuff like that. Ouch. And so they are protected by these guns, and they've got these big treasure troves. And the Imperials are in here as well, trying to clear out these warp crystals. So there was a big gun turret here that was an Imperial gun turret that he was engaging with when I happened across him. So you'll come across these big battles. Like sometimes you'll come across these huge epic battles, and sometimes there's even all three factions, You'll have like these giant space bugs coming in, taking out this guy that you're trying to clean up on, while a pirate patrol happens by, and everything just goes to hell real quick. And it's amazing because it's just totally organic, it's not scripted, but everyone gets to tell their own story about, I came across this thing, and then this giant space centipede came out and ate, half the squad I was fighting, and it was amazing.
Now, I know you just announced that it's coming to Vita also. Is there any complexities that come with taking a game like this and bringing it to Vita, or has it been a relatively smooth process?
We haven't actually done a whole lot on it yet. It runs. There's probably going to need to be some adaptations of some of the some of the scale of the UI and some of the controls, stuff like that. We're really focused on the PS4 version right now. We're really happy that we only got Unity access for PS4 a couple weeks ago, and I didn't think we were going to make it in time for GDC, but it's been fairly straightforward to work with, and we've actually got a very playable build that'll be on the show floor at the Sony booth. It'll also be in the Unity booth. So we're really focused on the PS4 build right now and getting that up to parity with the PC, and then once we're done with that, or once that's sort of on its legs and comfortable, we'll move on to the Vita version.
What has it been like going indie from Sega? It seems like an interesting transition.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in AAA for years. I guess I started really in heavy production in 1996. So since that time, I've been working in AAA development. And I love making video games. It's all I've really done with my life. So I've always enjoyed the AAA stuff too, even some of the bigger studios and the long hours and everything. But I definitely, doing your own thing is amazing. I mean, I've been working on games for so long, and I grew up playing video games, and it's just to be able to kind of have this opportunity to do your own thing and to do what I mean, I'm a dad, I have 2 little boys, I run the studio, I work crazy hours, like I don't get nearly enough time to play games anymore.
Yeah.
But I get to play my game every day. And so these are really selfishly made. Like I make this for myself because I get to play it every day, and so I want to make sure that it's super awesome and it's different every time I sit down to play it. And I get to just kind of keep balancing and keep tuning it and making it as fun as I can. So I've got a great team, and we spend a lot of, whoa.
Oh my gosh.
This is bad. I'm gonna see what I can do. I can slow these guys down with some of this stuff. I didn't go for it. Ah, boy.
Oh my.
Okay, this is not good. I'm gonna get out of here. Actually,
is this a boss fight, or is this just something that happens?
This might be I need that health pack really badly. This might be kind of right before the boss. The difficulty spikes.
That moment where 2 giant serpent monsters attack you before the boss.
We've got a memory leak here too. The frame rate's starting to go a little poopy, so I'm going to probably reboot this in a second. But where'd that shop go? Oh, he was down here, wasn't he? Buy some more health, because I'm not going to make it otherwise. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. You're kind of noodling along, and all of a sudden you find that you are, I don't have enough cash for a power up here. Oh boy. I could try sneaking past him.
Let's see it. Let's see.
Like, I'm kind of low on health right now. I think one of them just cooked himself in the lava over there. You see my frame rate starting to chug. I should probably reboot.
I mean, it's fine. We're probably going to wrap up.
Okay, let me see if I can get to the end here. See if I can get past these guys. Okay, he doesn't know I'm here, so I'm going to just let him sort of sneak away.
Oh, no.
All right. Okay, just run. See, now maybe hopefully that will distract him. That Imperial just jumped in. I'm going to let these guys. Here's some pirates. Now I got all 3 guys. You guys totally take care of each other. I'm going to just sneak on out of here. So all the right now the pirates are missing their portraits, but you can see there's a lot of the little portraits will pop up, and there's a lot of dialogue and stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of screaming and yelling between the different factions. People are screaming and yelling. So it really, you know, you can kind of stay on top of it, and we're going for that cartoony feel where we want people to feel like there's a lot of personality in the game, and even though there's these little tiny, you know, ships,
yeah.
you can see their avatars, you can come to understand their personalities. It's kind of like the grunts in Halo and the elites and stuff. I shouldn't have done that. I should not have done that.
It's amazing how much personality is conveyed by just those cones.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, they're going to come and lay into me with a bunch of physics-laden shots, but I'm going to pop out of here just in time. Okay.
I didn't think it was going to go that well. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
I thought
that went really well.
Like, totally
that
dead.
went as well as it could have gone. So this is unfortunately canned here. We haven't finished this art, so I didn't actually get an A+, I'm sure.
He was just feeling very generous.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming by and showing it. I'm going to now steal a copy of this and play it for the rest of the show, and unfortunately Russ is going to have to do all the videos. So I'm apologizing now to Russ Rushnick for not doing the rest of my job. I also want to thank you, Jake, for coming by and showing it to everybody.
It's been a pleasure.
Very cool. We will be here all week, so look for more Polygon Live episodes every weekday until, well, I don't know, Friday? That sounds good. We'll see you later.